evening, fight fans. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, with me as always, Mr. Bobby Blunts. Bobby, a lot to get into. We'll look at the UFC Houston card here, headlined by top middleweights, maybe a number one contender in Fluffy Hernandez and Sean Strickland on the back half of the show. But we got to get into the breaking news. You can say yesterday afternoon, we learned the return of Ronda Rousey, headed back to, I guess not octagon, but a hexagon, I believe. Not fighting in the UFC, but fighting for MVP Promotions on Netflix. And she has taken on other veteran as well. Her name's escaping me, of course, off the top of my head. Not Carano.
Gina Carano.
Yeah, I was going to say Carano. Taking on Gina Carano. I mean, Bobby, neither one of these ladies have stepped in, in a decade, had a fight in a decade. Carano hasn't had a fight in almost a decade and a half. Neither fighter has had a win in over a decade, in 27 years combined. So there's that. And they're reaching the ripe age of almost mid-40s. Are you interested in the return of Ronda Rousey?
I don't know. I think whether or not I'm interested is almost kind of irrelevant to kind of like what it means and stuff, because obviously I depending on how you look at it, it might be kind of shocking that Rousey is working with MVP and not going back to the UFC. Personally, for me, just knowing the pay factor, though I did not predict this news or anything, when I heard it, it really wasn't that surprising. It kind of all made sense. Let's be honest, this is like MVP's game, and this is the first time they're going to do it with women's MMA. So like the event being on Netflix and stuff, that kind of interests me. The fight itself, I really feel like it could only go one or two ways. Either Rousey is able to get a submission in the first round, or she kind of can't take a punch. I don't really think we're going to need championship rounds for this or anything. And I don't know, my biggest takeaway to the whole thing was what do we even have athletic commissions for anymore?
Right.
And, it's not like I'm taking her words out of context or anything. She literally wrote in her book the amount of issues she had with concussions. Ronda we're talking about here. Not only with judo, but in the UFC, WWE. So, I'm just kind of hoping, regardless of the result, it's just kind of like a one-round fight, and she doesn't really take any, extensive damage. It's good to know that they'll probably definitely be compensated for it. Bringing it to the Intuit Dome, I'm sure that will sell well. And the, Netflix has 300 million subscribers, to where Paramount has 80 million right now or something. So I definitely do think it will be well viewed, and people's appetites for it would kind of vary. But, I'm not really expecting much from the fight itself. But it's kind of an interesting thing to kind of come out of nowhere, and especially the timing, especially knowing that the Ellisons have been trying to do a hostile counterbid from Netflix on the Warner Brothers product and stuff. And I do feel like this is kind of a way for Netflix to, throw a little egg in Paramount's face. Because I'm sure if you ask Netflix, they are more than happy that they did not acquire the UFC, especially when you look at how the Ellisons overpaid for that stock in the first place, which is the whole reason they weren't able to kind of, make the acquiring of Warner Brothers there. So like those are the kind of things that like I find more interesting in it than the actual like competition that we'll probably see. You know, like obviously MVP doing their first MMA event. I like the, you know, nod to the old Strikeforce cage with, you know, the hexagon shape. And but if you're asking me like how the card is built out and stuff, I just assume it is going to be a bunch of other kind of like well-known names, like older guys, like veterans or women on it. And I guess if I were to say any interest, it would be, is MVP going to like try to bring anyone like young and new and put them on this card? Or are they just, you know, using this for the main event it is? But, you know, even though I don't have too much interest in it, it's still going to be interesting to see how it plays out down the line.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a few things there. So I do want to point out that the California Commissioner, Andy Foster, told ESPN that they will require, both women will require to undergo medical and neurological testing more extensive than what is required of all combat sports athletes ahead of their May 16th MMA comeback fight. Rousey will be put through concussion battery testing. Andy Foster said due to those, you know, concussions that she has alluded to, that she has had issues throughout her career. So we'll that'll be interesting. I'm kind of with you. I'm not so much interested in Rousey versus the fight right itself, because like I don't really need to watch a 39-year-old and a 43-year-old two women fight. If I wanted to do that, I'd just go out to the local bar. So you know, like that's just kind of how I feel about it. You know, it does have some name value. Is it interesting? Yeah, but also I get it from, you know, they said that they went to the UFC with this fight and the UFC was like, not really interested. And I get that from the UFC standpoint. The fact that Netflix has X amount of subscribers compared to Paramount Plus, I don't think Netflix already been around for decades, right? So like they already have subscribers. I don't think they're going to get any new subscribers to watch this fucking Rousey versus, you know, the Rousey fight. I am, like you said, I am very interested in how they build the rest of this card. Is it going to be a bunch of old heads? Like, I mean, Rob kind of said, you know, he watched Tito and Chuck 3. I said, you know, I kind of joked and was like, oh yeah, it's going to be Tito and Chuck 4 on the undercard, you know, Brock Lesnar versus, you know, like Vitor Belfort or somebody or somebody like that. You know, it'll be interesting to see how they build out the rest of the card. People will tune in for nostalgia purposes, but I don't think we're going to see a great fight if the fight happens due to the concussion protocols and things like that. So to me, it's no better than Tyson versus Mayweather that's going to be happening in Congo in April, I believe. So that's kind of where I see this at.
I want to make 3 points off that. I'll try to do them in chronological order. One, I really do not care what Andy Foster has to say. This is the same man that brought us Power Slap into California, and he also, you know, testified in favor of, you know, the new kind of revival of the Ali Act or the amendment. And furthermore, Ronda Rousey's mother is on the California State Athletic Commission. So if anyone wants to buy the Wolf tickets that Andy Foster is talking about protocol, more power to you. But I just do not buy that. The UFC's part of this, they would more than happily have taken this fight. I want to be very clear. It has nothing to do with their age or the skill of competition. They were not happy with the bottom dollar line for this. They said, yeah, you can go do that somewhere else. So I do think that's kind of important to note there.
And I also, you know, New York Rick on Crowned, he was like, you know, the UFC is going to have to counter this with Conor, somebody in the White House. I disagree with that. I don't really think they need to counter a card that's going to top this, because I don't think this card's going to perform. The name value is different, right? Like Tyson versus Paul doesn't mean the fight was any fucking good. I don't think this fights are going to be very good. Like, I don't know. The casual fan will probably tune in, right? The casual fan who's not been around, and I'm not gonna lie, I'll probably check it out, obviously, right? But I'm also going to tune into whatever else the UFC is putting out. So I just don't think they need to like counteract this, by doing something stupid and bringing back somebody that doesn't need to be fighting anymore, right? Like that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of found that comical as well, just because that's just not how they really operate, On the viewership side, though, I do expect this to be the highest watched card of the year by far. It will easily outperform the White House card.
I think just it depends. If the White House card's on CBS and Paramount, I would disagree. I think
they might be able to pull it if they simulcasted the whole thing on CBS. I think it's a lot closer, but just the whole reason this fight was made was to really bring in that casual viewer, or the people that have let's be honest, there could be people that have been checked out since she's retired and stuff.
Right. And let's not Ronda Rousey's the A side. You know what I mean? She is the A side.
Well, I mean, I kind of find the revisionist history of this matchup, like the one we always missed out on, even more comical.
No, it was always Rousey versus Cyborg.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to see her go up to 145 with.
Yeah.
And but at least Carano is like training with John Wood, so I got a little bit more faith in kind of the product that might turn out there. But I do not think it's gonna make the UFC call some like crazy 11th hour audible for trying to pull in other fights. I mean, I know you mentioned that Connor tweeted today about him getting a fight offered, and then I mentioned he immediately deleted it. But I get kind of the comparisons and lumping them together. The thing that I don't like really see or am unsure of is I see a lot of people praising this as, we need a solid number 2 MMA promotion. And in no way am I going to like really see MVP with that. Like, I think this will be a great opportunity for these two ladies to get paid, but are they really interested in building their own MMA promotion?
Right. Is this a one-off, or is this going to be like a thing? Agreed.
We might see kind of more down the line, like super fights, but I'd be surprised if this was like a recurring thing, kind of like how they do, with their women's boxing and stuff. And that might kind of be their best bet, is to maybe fill some of these undercard slots with like up and coming names that they're trying to promote, because they know there will be eyeballs on this event. But it's kind of too early to really know how that's all going to play out. But it didn't hit me like oh, holy shit, I can't believe this happened.
I can't wait to sit this. I can't wait to sit down and watch this. This is maybe 10 years ago it would have been cool, but
especially with like the money that gets thrown around nowadays, it almost makes it too obvious that she was going to come back. I mean, I just I don't want to say took her at her word, but I mean, let's be honest. It's like when you saw her tweet, she didn't write that tweet saying like, "Oh, this fight's for me and all the MMA fans." She fucking hates us. Like, what is she?
She's bashed every fan base, right? Bashed wrestling fan base. Bashed MMA fan base. Like, she's bashed them all at one point or another. Rob wants to know, buy or sell Tyrone Woodley gets stretched on this card. I'll buy it, but Rob, I definitely think. And does MVP go after Diaz, which would have to be Nate? I believe Nick's still under contract. So I could definitely see it. If I'm MVP, I'm trying to talk to Nate. he mentioned, speaking of Nate Diaz, he mentioned a couple fights, once Conor 3, Dustin Poirier, and then he mentioned Mike Perry. So it'd have to be Mike Perry, right? Conor's not going to fight on this card, and neither is Dustin Poirier. And I would take, those are the only about 3 fights I want to see Nate Diaz fight, Bobby. Like I would, Dustin Poirier seems like he would come back to fight Nate. He even said belt to ass. And obviously we know him and Conor back in the day. That would kind of actually fit this mold of this card, right? If it's Conor Nate 3, that would fit the mold of this card the way it's built from 2016 style. But I if I'm them, I definitely would go after Nate Diaz because it's another big name. Don't know if Nate Diaz is going to be okay being the co-main. That's the only problem.
Yeah, great call by Rob on Woodley being on there. I would almost kind of expect that, but then again, he took quite a shot there with Silva, but I'm sure they could do that. And I do find it very ironic that this fight that was made, for example, with Rousey and Carano, this is like what I would say almost 50%, if not more, of the fan base has kind of been campaigning for. Like they want these old nostalgia fights, and they think because it's the White House card, they're just going to make it happen. And I've been pretty consistent with my view that I think it's just going to be billed as any other card. We might get like multiple title fights or something.
And we'll get to that. I want to get to the White House card in a minute, but I want to answer some of these questions on this Rousey front. Could we see, Will wants to know, could we see any of MVP Females boxing take the dive into MMA? Clarissa Shields, Bumgardner, even Holly Holm, right? Like I believe is signed on MVP. So I definitely could see Shields or Holly Holm on this card.
Yeah, definitely Holly. I like the call there, William. Yeah, what was the first part of the question there?
Could we see if any of MVP's female boxing roster?
Okay, yeah. I hope, and I know this is a long shot and a stretch, but what I said, if PFL had half a brain, they would be trying to get in touch with MVP and saying, hey, let's do Dakota Ditcheva versus Amanda Serrano as the co-main. And like, if you immediately book that, then I actually am locked into like what this fight card could be.
Right.
Because, and especially if they're making like the decision to maybe have Serrano do an MMA fight, I really hope it's something kind of out of left field like that, opposed to them just having her do an MMA fight with another boxer. I mean, Holly Holm is obviously intriguing because she obviously, former champion in the UFC and is pretty well versed in that. So it would not shock me if we see kind of all of those names built out. And that's kind of more or less what I expect. The Serrano Ditcheva one would be the kind of wild card to me.
Yeah. Rob says, I think Jake and MVP have cracked the code on how to succeed as number 2 promotion to TKO. It's not MMA or boxing. It's MME, mixed martial entertainment. Yeah, I mean, MVP's done a great job of their promotion. And when you're getting backed by Netflix, like it seems to be, eyes are going to be on it. So it seems to be, they're on the right track and what they're doing. I'm interested to see how they build this card out and where it goes more than the fight itself. I'm not really interested in the fight itself. I'm interested in like the names they're going to put on this card, the presentation of the card, and everything else. Not so much the fight. Bobby, we've kind of talked quite a bit about the White House, and last week, over the weekend, is pretty much locked in that Ilya Topuria will be taking on Justin Gaethje pretty much as it's the soft, I think, right, as for the main event at the White House. I actually agree with this fight as far as like Ilya, right? Like there's going to be people like, oh, you need a big star. Ilya's the biggest star that is currently going. So how can you get casual fans to continue to watch the product? We got to put on the current biggest star. Don't put the biggest star of yesteryear. Put on your current biggest star that's got the brightest future and going forward, and that's none other than Ilya Topuria, right? So if we put him in, and maybe he knocks out Justin Gaethje, and so I don't really care about the American being dead on the White House. Like, who gives a shit about that? Like, you know, to me, now some people for American pride will say, well, we can't go out like that. It's America's 250th birthday. That ain't got shit to do with nothing. To me, let's just, you want to your biggest star and you want to push them even further and brighter, right? So put your biggest star on the biggest stage on the brightest lights and let them shine where everybody will tune in. So I think having Ilya, it would either be Ilya or Islam, and it doesn't seem like Islam's going to be on the White House. There's reports that, you know, his agent, even, you know, our friend Ali Al-Abadiz kind of said like Islam's going to fight a natural 170, or seems like that's going to be Ian Gary, thank goodness, and not Kamaru Usman. It seems like the tea leaves are Ian Gary's what kind of reports are. So what's your thoughts on either or? Are you good with Ilya versus Gaethje at the White House if that's the main event, and Islam versus Ian Gary if that's what happens?
I'm very happy that it sounds like it is going to be Islam versus Gary. I kind of hope Gary didn't go over to Georgia for no reason, but it is definitely a lot more positive getting those headlines than the constant headlines from Ali talking about why everyone wants to see Usman versus Islam. Yeah. So that I'd be more than happy with that. I've kind of been hoping that's what we get. At this point, I think it's going to be either him or, depending on timing, they might just want to fast track Morales versus Islam. But I think Islam versus Gary, you can kind of do pretty good with that. What up, Kev? And yeah, regarding Ilya Gaethje, it has to happen because they gave him the interim title. I got about it. It's going to sound foolish to say, but, and I don't mean like incitement and anticipation, but meaningful wise, I think it's just as meaningless as Rousey versus Gina Carano. It does absolutely nothing for me. They're phoning in a fucking layup for Ilya. Now, if he was fighting Arman Sarukian on the White House, then wow, we actually had the best fighting the best. I'd be a lot more compelled. But I definitely understand that Gaethje won the interim title when they were trying to slide Patty in there. So I do think Gaethje deserves it, and the fight needs to happen. But I'd be lying to you if I told you I was that excited for it.
But I do think like having Ilya as the main event doesn't matter. Like him being the biggest star in the game right now on the biggest card, it needs to happen to push it forward. Because I do think that's the one card that casuals will tune into. Because especially if I think if they're smart, they'll put it on linear CBS. And I do believe the pay-per-view next week's number card or whatever you want to call it, I believe from what I heard, the prelims will be on linear CBS and possibly, I think, yeah, at least the prelims.
You're talking about the BMF fight in March, or
yeah, next, or is that in 2 weeks or the next?
Yeah. I believe they're gonna run the prelims and then the first fight on the main card on CBS.
On CBS. Okay, that's what I thought. And then everything else will be on Paramount. All of it will be on Paramount. But if they do that with the White House, right, that's how you get people over and you get Ilya to tune in, you know, who's your biggest star, especially knockout power, you know, and everything else. Like that's how you continue to grow the sport, by putting the rocket ship on your brightest star on the brightest lights. Like I don't need Conor McGregor on the White House card. Like I don't need these guys from yesteryear to be on the White House card, because like that's not gonna move the sport forward. You're not making a new star by doing that. You can really make somebody by putting them over, kind of like in the wrestling business, if they can do this with Ilya, but obviously he has to handle business as well.
Yeah, and they'll bill it accordingly. They'll be able to advertise Gaethje, most bonuses in UFC history, and I'm not really trying to sell the fight short, because I do feel it could be very compelling, but like at the end of the day, the following Monday, I just kind of feel like we're gonna do the dance of, okay, who's next for Ilya? And I don't think the answer is gonna be Armin. And so it gets me so much. That's just why I'm just kind of meh on the matchup. Like, I acknowledge it needs to happen. It would be crazy if there was actually a scenario where Gaethje could pull it off. And so I understand the point of them kind of playing with house money there as well. But, this is kind of the a main event I expected to be on it, like this quality. I didn't expect anything like crazy out of left field or anything. So
what's good, Jubes?
I think they'll be able to, build it up good enough.
What up, Jay? Yeah, I think you're. It'll be interesting to see how they build this out. According to Dana, it's, he goes back and forth. He says it's done. They got two options. It's not done. Who the fuck knows? So, and speaking of Dana, we would, we'll just. I want to talk. What do you make of these remarks of him and Eddie Hearn kind of going back in the presser? Dana says, Eddie always works for his daddy, and then Eddie come back pretty much today and was like, yeah, Dana works for his daddy, Daddy Al Sheik and Daddy Fertitas and everybody else. And I think Eddie, I do, and I've been on record, I think they are downplaying Zuffa boxing right now, and if they don't watch it, Zuffa will take over eventually. They're in the small steps, and I feel like they're underestimating what they could do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I personally think Eddie's playing right into Dana's hand. I mean, for one, I found it comical that he mentioned Turkey as his daddy, because if anything, that would be like Eddie's father, who went to get milk and never came back, and now owns 60% of Zuffa boxing.
Yeah.
So, and I get like the tidbits and stuff, and that's definitely kind of more Ariel's lane of getting excited about it. To me, like, the writing is just kind of on the wall of why they kind of should be taken serious. There's been a lot of really good articles and stuff done by, the MMA Draw. I would really recommend people kind of checking that out if they want to get more of the nuanced side of the business instead of like, jabs back and forth and stuff. But, I would say from the Dana angle, it's nice to see him kind of passionate about something for once.
Right.
But
right. It's like the early days of the UFC when Dana was excited and was focused, and wanting to promote it. Jay says, if I'm Eddie, even though it might be not be in his best interest, he would try to help out Oscar and mend the bridge with the Zone and Ortiz. Team up.
Yeah, but I mean, it came out today that like he signed that 5-year extension with DAZN, and I don't know, like I really don't know what to make of DAZN, like especially like the product and stuff. I really feel like it might be a sinking ship, and one of the reasons I think Zuffa should not be taken lightly is just because they have the Paramount deal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what Brandon say here?
Brandon's here. He says Zuffa has to prove they can put on a big boxing show without depending on Ring and Riyadh. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Like Brandon, like you got to crawl before you can run, and you got to run before you can. You got to walk before you can run.
Yeah.
So like they're in the crawling stages, right? Like this is if let's just say like if this was not Dana White backing a boxing promotion, this boxing promotion was just on Paramount Plus. Like we would not be giving it the attention, right? But because Dana White is a figurehead and Turkey really is part of this as well, like we're giving it its attention, and so we're expecting these things. But boys, like this is like day one of the baby being born, right? Like the baby's just now born. They got to nurse this thing, they got to feed it, and it's going to get bigger and better. Eventually they'll get out of the apex and they'll sign by like some big names. I feel like right now they're just slowly starting to build this thing up, and it's not, the ball hasn't got officially even started rolling, but you can see the leaves on the ground. The tea leaves is like these other promotions, they are not taking it as serious, when I feel like they should start looking and be like, are they going to end up being Strikeforce? They're going to end up being Bellator. They're going to end up being Affliction and those things where the best in the game are going to eventually go there because they're dicking around and not doing what they need to be doing.
Yeah, and Saudi Arabia literally owns 60% of Zuffa Boxing. So
right.
that is here to stay. We've accepted it in the sport, and now it is not going away. And it will eventually probably cannibalize MMA as well.
Yeah, so Rob says, buy or sell MVP. Buys are partners with one or more of the Alphabet Boxing Leagues and or PFL to take on TKO. Ooh, that's a good question. I don't see it, though, but I'm going to sell right now.
Yeah,
I think
sell. Take it at Dana's own words. I have no interest working with these fucking people.
No,
it's
but
like
he's saying MVP.
Babies.
He is saying MVP. So,
oh no,
yeah.
I mean MVP's gonna do the counter out. They will eventually make their own UBO once they put the things in place for the revisions in the Ali Act. I mean, they're much more wanting those to go through probably than TKO. So they can do it temporarily, but at the end of the day, I think MVP is probably the only ones with the backing to actually be able to do a UBO similar to like what TKO is doing. So I think they're kind of going to follow their game plan. Nikisa has already kind of alluded to it.
Yeah, I kind of agree. So I'm not buying that the fact that they're going to team up with one of these promotions. And I think you're seeing fighters, like we've saw boxers in the last, a couple months be like, I'm not, fuck your belts. And, I won the fights. I'm not paying these stupid ass fees. And, we saw it with Bud Crawford, and we just saw it with, who was the last guy that just,
Shakur, he pretty much did the same thing.
Shakur Stevenson did the same. Thanks, Bobby. Did the same thing. So it's just like we're going to start seeing that a little bit more, I believe. People aren't going to want to pay these fees. They're, you know what I mean, or these belts and all these things. So it'll be interesting. Rob says if the revised Ali Act passes, the Alphabet Leagues go under, what happens to the belts? That's a good question. We'll find out.
Yeah, and it's almost like a question like a decade down the line, too.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, we won't have the answer today.
It's not going to be immediate, but I'm sure if you ask Eddie Hearn, he'd say they're not going anywhere. And, like Dana kind of says, that other dude, he went on Ariel's show, he makes their job a lot easier. And, the card itself, though, that Zuffa card, like that Umar guy, that uppercut, that easily might be a KO of the year in boxing. So I know it's in the lifeless Apex, and maybe I'm just so broken from watching Apex in the UFC that it doesn't infect my enjoyment. I mean, the only thing that annoys me is Max Kellerman.
Yes, I can't. Max is just too. I don't know what it is. He used to be so good, and I mean, he's just on Dana and Turkey's. I mean, let's just say it. he's on their dick, like just. And yeah,
It's what they hired him for, like literally.
I mean, he is the ultimate hype man, and then some. You know.
Yeah, please Paramount, give me my Espanol stream for Zuffa boxing. You have it with the UFC when I need to tune out Bisbing. Like we need an alternative stream.
Yeah. We will be tuning in this Saturday to UFC Houston. It is headlined by none other than the former middleweight champion Sean Strickland taking on the rising contender Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. This card's pretty good. You got Jeff Neal versus Euros Medic. Neal, who's been around, there has kind of reached that top 5 at one point or another in welterweight. You got the rising star in Melky Costa taking on Dan Ige in the featherweight division. You got Sergey, some heavyweight action. Sergey Spivak versus Ante De La Gia. And
not to cut you off, but how do we already have heavyweights back on the fucking main card? Just disgraceful.
You got Michelle Piera versus Zachary Reese on this card. Odie Osborne versus Ali Idris as well. So any prelim card you wanna take a look at, and then I kind of want to talk about kind of deep dive in those top 3, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, it's not on the prelims, but you mentioned Jacoby Smith versus Josiah Harrell, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, both those guys, 11-0 on insane win streaks. So that is going to be very interesting. On the early prelims, got to give a shout to the local guy coming off his win of contender out of Hermosa Beach, California, John Paul. Going to try and not butcher your last name, Leba Sinoni or Yanni. He calls himself JPL, but he's taking on Phil Rowe. That's going to be at middleweight. So, I was impressed with his contender series performance, and he came over from LFA. So just kind of interested to see how far he can go. And, you never kind of know what Phil Rowe you're going to get, but I kind of hope he can also have a bounce back performance. So I think that one would be pretty entertaining. And then you mentioned Odie Osborne fighting Idris. That's DC's boy from The Ultimate Fighter, 125. So that should be, I'm not sure if that's the main prelim fight or not, but from top to bottom, the card is built pretty well. Like, this is definitely a fight night they take out on the road and stuff.
Yeah, it is. And I want to look at those top 3 cards. You got the, Forever Game, Dan 100K Ige, taking on the rising star, and a guy that we kind of anointed, like, hey, watch out for this guy. This guy could be, maybe was kind of like almost our breakout fighter of last year, but we're like, we definitely had him circled this going into this year. Like, hey, this is a guy you need to pay attention to. He could be a top name in this division, and that's Melky Costa, who is on a nice winning streak, 5 in a row. And here he is, 5 in a row and 3 by finishes. So last time out, remember, he beat the French pirate Morgan Charret by knockout.
Literally like KO of the year candidate.
Yeah. So that was that spinning back elbow, I believe. So yeah, we'll see. How you
thought
feel
it was
about
a head kick. No, it
was a head kick. Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a fight I thought was gonna be like a 15-minute war, and Melky ended up blanking him. And Definitely one of the guys that it kind of feels good to root for. Like you said, he's on a hell of a heater, and he kind of always brings it. And the Dan Ige matchup is very intriguing because Ige is always a tough out, and especially them doubling the bonuses. I think he's going to want to get his first 100K compared to the 50K. So stylistically, I think this fight is perfect. I'm going to be really interested to watch Melky here just to see how the fight goes. Like, is he able to actually get Ige out of there? If he is, I think we are talking about a championship title contender, plain and simple.
Yeah, Ige's 14. And so like this is Melky's like first big, big name spot in the rankings. You know what I mean? Like he's got a lot here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm glad they're, finally kind of getting him a noble name to get ranked there. And, at no point did I mean like if he wins this, he would be fighting for the belt next. I meant just more, depending on the result, I think it's just going to tell us kind of a lot of really how far he could go. But at the same time, that might be very unfair to Dan because, like I said, he's an extremely tough out, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if this ended up just going to decision and kind of like the last Pirate fight, the war that I thought we were going to get there, we might just get a really good 15-minute scrap here.
Yeah, Ige has lost 3 out of his last 5 as well. Last time out, he lost the unanimous decision to Pitbull, but before that, he had beat Sean Woodson. I know, and I say 3 out of his last 5, but one of those losses was a 24-hour notice fight to Diego Lopez. So, I don't want to shit on him for being like, hey, he lost 3 out of 5. But, if you do the deep dive into it, 24-hour fight against Diego Lopez is a lot to ask for.
And I like that he's, fighting on a full camp. This is not a scenario where he took anything on short notice. And, I'm glad they got Milky back in there fast enough to kind of capitalize on his end of year KO. So, like the CBS like coverage and stuff, they had like a breakdown for like Dan Ige in an interview. They didn't have Costa on there, so hopefully, Costa can get the victory, and they realize like, hey, this is a kid we can actually push. He's young, right, violent. I've never seen him in a boring fight, so I'm gonna be pulling for him, and it's really also hard to root against Dan Ige because Dan is he gives us everything we need and more. And, definitely a tough night in the office for Nixick here with the matchups. But, it at the same time, if there's anyone I kind of want in these guys' corners, it would be him. So,
right. Yeah.
Like for me personally, this is aside from the main event, this is the fight I'm most excited to see by far.
Yeah, agreed. The co-main is Jeff Neal. Jeff he's had a bad string of luck here too. He's also lost 3 out of his last 5. But he was KO'd back in August by Carlos Prates. Did have a KO win over Rafael dos Anjos back in 24. Before that, he had lost to Shavkat and Ian Gary. So he's kind of, but it's been like, Jeff's been one of those guys where he hasn't, I feel like just hasn't focused and dialed it in. Like he's been doing the restaurant business while he's been fighting. Then he had some DUIs and alcohol problems as well. So like, those, it's like, can he finally dial it in and kind of maybe go on a nice little run here? He is taking on Euros Medic, who's trying to similar situation to Costa, taking a guy who's on the fringe of the rankings. Jeff Neal's ranked 12. Medic here is, he's won 3 out of his last 5, and he's trying to get himself into the rankings, taking on Jeff Neal. And so, like, if you're Neal, this is a fight you kind of got to need to win, and to say, like, hey, I can still be here. I'm not going to let somebody to kind of take my spot.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really fault Neal for working a second job, when we kind of know the reality of the show win model.
Yeah.
I mean, like Witt always used to call him Uncle Neal. And
that's Uncle
Oh,
Neil
wait,
Magny.
no, that's Neil Magny.
Yeah.
I'm getting his nicknames all confused. But I mean, they're let's be honest, like, they're both kind of the same thing as far as, like, the Unk, that you kind of know the position they're setting them up for and stuff. I was personally a little surprised when I saw this as the co-main. In my mind, I think just with excitement, I thought it was Ige versus Costa. But I still think it's going to be an entertaining fight. You get there. Was Neal's last loss the bizarre submission or something like that?
No, his last loss was he got knocked out by Carlos Prates.
It was Prates, huh?
Yeah, back in August.
Did he have a win after that, or no? Last fight was Prates.
Yeah, when he got knocked out. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, when Prates, first person to knock him out.
Yeah, and I guess if there's any caveat to that, Prates also was the first person to knock out Leon.
Yeah.
So I really never know, like, what we're kind of gonna get from Jeff Neal. Is it gonna be tough out where it ends up being kind of like a grinded out decision? Is he the favorite in this?
Well, that I don't know. Let me take a look here.
If he is, I think it'd be like a slight favorite, but
of course UFC doesn't have the odds. Let me look on one of my betting apps here. It's weird that all of a sudden the UFC doesn't have the odds anymore on their website,
Yeah, well, I think a big part of that is them also wanting to have people dump money on Polymarket.
Let me go here to the MMA. So it looks like Jeff Neal is the slight favorite at -220.
Okay, so I mean, probably strength of schedule and stuff. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
I really see it more of a coin flip, and I mean, honestly, with MMA, like, that kind of line is still kind of like a coin flip. You can probably get a little bit of value on a Medic there if you want to take an underdog, but I'm really not sure what I don't expect Neal to fight tentatively or anything coming off the KO loss to Prates or anything.
No, because how he gets him out of there is with his hands. You know what I mean? So he's going to have to try to stand and fight. So I'm much with you. I don't see him being tentative.
Yeah. And, if I was picking, I probably would lean Neal, but at the same time, it would not shock me at all if Medic found a way to get it done. If I'm being honest, I think the UFC would kind of prefer him to win in this spot and stuff because, Jeff Neal is a pretty notable name there. But, I'm kind of hoping for the best for Neal. He's given us some good scraps in the past, so we'll see how it goes.
And then we get to the main event. And to me, this is it. To me, it's a number one contender fight for Fluffy. I don't think it's like Sean Strickland number one fight, but I think if Fluffy wins, I know they're going to probably do it. Should be Hamzat versus Imanov next, but Fluffy would probably insert himself as winner. He's got winner of this, if he's able to get past Sean Strickland. I mean, Fluffy has been on quite the run here. Eight fight. His last loss was 6 years ago. Bobby, you want to take a stab on who he lost to 6 years ago? March 16th, 2020.
Who?
You want to take a stab? Take a guess?
Off the top of my head, I got no clue. Is it wasn't Chris Curtis, was it?
No, close. Somewhere on the fringe of that. None other than Big Mouth himself, Kevin Holland.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, Kev's probably disgusted. I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Three since then has not lost a fight. He was knocked out in the first round by Kevin Holland, and since then
that Holland fight was at 85, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, remember that's when Kevin Holland in 2020 was on the run. You know what I mean? Was entering top 5 middleweight territory, and then we found out he couldn't wrestle, and then everything else went to shit after that. So. But nonetheless, he's been on a nice run. The last time we saw him was August 9th, 25 when he fought Roman Dolidze. Remember, I believe he was supposed to fight RDR, and he pulled out of the RDR fight. And before that, he had the nice win over Brendan Allen, and here he is, kind of getting his very top spot here against the former champion Sean Strickland. Last time we saw Sean was almost a year ago when he lost the fight to Drickus by unanimous decision. So, but to Sean's credit, he has been on quite the run. Those are his. Other than the Drickus 2 losses to Drickus, he also hasn't lost a fight since December 17th, 22, when he lost to Jared Cannonier. So. He's won 4 out of his last 5. Yeah,
I mean, strength of schedule undoubtedly goes to Strickland, and it's not even remotely close.
Yep.
But yeah, I think this is a very quality main event. This is kind of, at least you're getting 4 versus 1. Was Kev saying shaking my head because I forgot about Holland or something else?
Yeah, you're getting 3 versus 4. Sean Strickland's 3, Anthony Hernandez is 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think this honestly could be a possible title shot either way, because we all rank Fluffy as a surging contender who we kind of assume will be fighting for the belt. It'd be one thing if like Drickus or someone was in there, but I do think regardless, whoever wins this, they will be fighting the winner of Imanov Chimaev, because I'm just assuming they do that in like Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi or something, and then they'll have the winner kind of come back to the States or something to do that. But I like this fight because, we really get to kind of learn a lot about Fluffy. I mean, he's been on a hell of a run. He choked out Dolidze and ragdolled him. But, let's be honest, those names, you can kind of throw questions in all those names and stuff as well. And obviously, you can kind of do that same thing with Strickland, depending on what your mileage is on that. But I do think this is going to be a fight where we're going to get our answer. Hey, can Fluffy actually, fight for a title and possibly have a chance versus Chimaev, or, if Imavov wins. But I do view him as kind of like a surging contender, and this is his moment to kind of break through that there. I think they were trying to set that up with the DeRitter fight, and unfortunately he had to pull out. I know he was kind of mum's the word on what it is. From what I took from it, it was like a rib injury or something. But I'm just kind of hoping that he's all right with that. And same thing kind of goes with Strickland. Him fighting for a year. I guess you can call it a choice. When you walk into a cage and, punch a cop, you're probably going to get suspended by the
I forgot about that. I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I think like so many people are just like done with him that they just overlook like, oh yeah, he actually was suspended. He wasn't just like choosing to sit out or something. And
Right.
I always found that last Dricus fight pretty weird. Like even for his standards, he just did not really seem like himself. I know he kind of laid out some possible injuries. So if I'm like to take that at face value, like I really should more, I didn't want to listen to Pereira when he said he was quote unquote sick versus Big Hog. I think we're going to get like a very interesting and competitive fight. I don't see this in a scenario where Fluffy is just going to steamroll Strickland and he's just going to be able to be like a blanket on top of him, like taking him down and kind of grinding him out. I would really expect this to kind of go to a decision either way.
I do too, yeah.
And the thing is Fluffy is pretty well-rounded everywhere. So I think just especially with Sean's style, he'll be able to kind of take over 3 rounds on the judges' scorecard for a victory. And I do think not Sean necessarily needs to go for broke here, but he does need to kind of look for maybe a finish like in the later 4th round after kind of, I don't want to say nullifying the wrestling, but just being able to get back up and kind of keep it on the feet, for at least 20 minutes or so. Because if he's unable to do that, I think Fluffy will just undoubtedly probably get his hand raised. If he's actually able to finish Strickland, I would be very impressed by that, whether it's TKO or submission. I kind of see this going to decision one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It'll be interesting, right? I think Sean will want to kind of keep this standing and use as, Sean's one of the, that Philly shell style that he uses. He's one of the best boxers, especially, right? Like, and uses jab. I'm interested to see what Fluffy can do standing up, because it's a contrast of fights, right? Like Fluffy is the elite grappler wrestler. Sean's gonna, while he's got good stand up, good defense takedown, can he keep it standing? How Fluffy will do on his feet in that style. Where will Sean kind of bore him down too? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Sean's style is not, it's so kind of, it slows everything down. You kind of get bored at times as, the fighter itself coming across. So how much, action will Fluffy push forward? This is kind of his first main event too, I believe. And, or maybe this is second main event, I think, actually.
With a crowd, I mean, the Apex main events, take them for what you will.
Yeah. So Willie, this is kind of his biggest high-profile fight as well. I'm in agreement. I think this goes decision either way. Who you picking here?
Just going off like points and stuff. I do think there are avenues for Strickland to win this fight, but just with the last stuff I've seen and him leaving rounds that are too close to kind of leave it one way or the other, I think Fluffy will kind of be able to take advantage of it and be able to, steal a few of those rounds. And both of these guys weaponize cardio. So, I mean, I'm very kind of excited about that.
Right.
But pick-wise, I would probably assume for Fluffy to be able to get the I would say probably a split decision. Very well could be unanimous, but that's kind of why I'm excited to see this play out. I mean, we got a lot of high and middleweight fights in the next coming weeks. So this is going to kind of kick off that division, and hopefully we get some announcements about Chimaev defending the title.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Just real quick, here's some odds for you. So Strickland by TKO, KO or TKO plus 400. Strickland by submission plus 4,000. Strickland by decision plus 400. The juice is probably worth the squeeze there at plus 400. And
I think there's a lot of value on his money line too. I agree with the odds, but at the same time, that is a juicy plus number for Strickland.
Yeah, plus 225 Strickland money line.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe a little money went into him. I thought he was a little bit more of a dog.
No, it's Hernandez is Fluffy's minus 285.
Okay.
So to me, if you're going to bet Strickland, I would probably say decision. So you might as well do the plus 400.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty safe assumption there. I think the main reason I'm picking Fluffy is I just don't really feel too good about it going to the judges' scorecards with Strickland.
Yeah. Fluffy by submission is plus 275. Fluffy by TKO is plus 600. And then Fluffy by decisions plus 125. So really, Fluffy by, like I said, money line is minus 285. I'm kind of with you, Bobby. I think Fluffy's going to be able to get this. I think it goes to decision, and I think Fluffy will do enough. Will eventually get the takedowns and do some damage there. So give me Fluffy by decision, and I'll take the plus money with it.
Yeah, I think it, and again, I think we can kind of both see ways for Strickland to probably win this, but yeah. I definitely think like we make picks on this show, so it's pretty hard not to go with Fluffy there.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're finally back. UFC. It was a nice, weird weekend, not having any really combat sports at all. I think they said we're gonna have UFC will be on for the next like 6 to 9 weeks or something. So that it seems like a lot of fights haven't been announced yet either. So that's also interesting. We don't have a main event for April yet. So there's that.
Yeah, I don't want to get negative at the end of the show. We'll save that for another one. You already know what I think the main event for April is.
Yeah, you think it's Gane versus
Pereira for the vacant heavyweight title.
Yeah. Speaking of that, real quick, I feel so bad. I just can't stand it. I'm just gonna go on a rant here real quick to close the show. All these fucking people out here who think they're fucking doctors about Tom Aspinall and his LASIK surgery and all this shit. Get the fuck out of here. Stop with the goddamn clickbait and your fucking bullshit. Like, the guy is literally cannot fucking see, like, get his eyesight back, and people are like, oh, but he's dribbling a ball with his legs, but he can't see a punch. Like, come on, like, there's two different things here. Like, are you that fucking dumb? Like, you got PT Carroll wrote a great article on Uncrowned and literally went to the doctors with Tom and everything else. Like this eyesight has changed every time, it's different. Like, let's stop with this bullshit that he's faking it. He's doing all this stuff to get out of stuff. Can we just stop? Just stop and let the man be. Let the man get healthy, and then when he comes back, we'll see what the fuck happens. It's just so much shit of fucking dumbass clickbait and people trying to think that they're fucking doctors or this person said this. Did you fucking go and interview Tom's doctors yourself? And until that happens, I don't want to fucking hear a damn word from you.
Yeah, no, I get your point, but you're appeasing to the MMA community, so what do you really expect?
Exactly. It's a cesspool at times. All right. We try not to be as cesspooly here.
I will say one. Did you watch Zion Clark and Walter Walker's grappling match?
I did. I saw the highlights. I thought it was pretty funny.
It was the most bizarre thing. You're almost like, you feel bad for watching it, but then you see, like, Johnny or Walter Walker out of instinct going for the heel hook was just hilarious to me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Let him get paid and good for the other guy too. You know what I mean? Get his name out. Just, you know what I mean? Like,
he did better than any of Walter Walker's opponents.
Right. There's the state of the heavyweight division.
Which goes back, like, what are we doing? But and thank you for not having me break down the polar bear fight. I don't know if it was out of love for me to just be like, oh, it's a heavyweight, we'll strike it. But good choice.
Oh, well, no need. I was like the polar bear, but the Spivak fight, yeah.
Yes.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. Nonetheless, yeah, the Phantom heel hook was wild. Can the Walker brothers get it right? Like, they're beefing here. What are we doing?
They're trying to get some extra money. I don't buy that at all.
Yeah, me neither.
And yeah, if anything, the UFC should do that. Fuck karate combat.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny Walker needs to move up to heavyweight anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he talked about it at one point.
He easily could do it.
Why not?
It kind of
ranked in the top 5 after 2 fights.
Yeah, it definitely added to like the enjoyment when you're wondering like what his call out's going to be, and then he just starts trashing his brother, and then like Johnny hitting him with the like it was just pretty like comical if you like that type of tea.
Oh yeah, always. You know me, I was enjoying it. Nonetheless, we'll be back next week, folks. 8:00 Central, 9 Eastern. We'll talk about the Houston card, and the following card, I believe, is a Apex card.
I think it's UFC Mexico.
Is it really?
Yeah, or I might be losing my mind, but I thought that's the.
Oh, you're right. It is. Yeah. It is UFC Mexico. That card.
Hey, let's be thankful it's not in the Mexican Apex and it's actually in an arena.
Yeah.
So kudos to that, UFC. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that card is that card, and we'll talk more about it. Let's just say the Houston card's 10 times better than that card.
I'll ask you this. Are there any heavyweights on the main card of that card?
Pulling it up right now, looking at it. No.
Well, then I think the card will survive.
I don't there's not a heavyweight fight on the card, Bobby.
Yes. I mean, we all know why that is. They're not taking them to elevation and stuff. But yeah, I'm just trashing the division now. We can call it.
All right. For Bobby Bloods, I'm Bodkins, folks. Appreciate you all the comments. Thank everybody tuning in. Be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. We'll be back next week, 8:00 Central, 9 Eastern, right here for another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the fights, everybody.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.